I just wanted to commend you on building an administration of communication, collaboration, respect, and transparency, and more importantly, your acceptance to failure. I work in education, higher ed, and K through 12 for the last 19 years, and I've talked with you a few times. We teach the kids FAIL. FAIL stands for first attempt in learning. Sometimes it's SAIL, second attempt in learning. But I work in IT, so I see a lot of the impacts of what we put in the kids' hands through the teachers and training the teachers. So with that said, what I'm interested in is what your administration would do for education in Rhode Island, and it's two-part. And second, thinking of my educators that have had a lot of their pensions pulled away from them, what would you do to combat what has gone to Wall Street for our educators?
Okay. On the first part, one of the things that I've realized is we need to invest more in K through 12 to build a solid foundation for a lot of our students. And this is where I disagree with the governor's promise program that she has. A lot of the kids are not ready for college. I need to make sure that a lot of the kids in that basic foundation level from K through 3 have the basics down with reading and arithmetic, especially in the urban core areas. I want to fund a lot more to the best extent possible, additional programs to help on that front, but also continue to fund any programs with after-school programs to further strengthen, but most importantly, summer learning. And this I've seen firsthand in Cranston. I've got one of the elementary schools that was actually near my dad's restaurant. It's changed. My dad's restaurant used to be close to Silver Lake, which was heavily Italian-American. In that school, Gladstone Street School now, 22 languages are spoken. And that's some of the challenges. And unless we get those resources to many of those kids, you're just passing them on. So I want to provide resources on that front. Second, I want to make sure that there's more commitment, whether it's elementary, but most importantly, middle school, leading into high school, that STEM, STEAM type initiative. Stronger science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, because there are good paying careers, some of which I talked about today, that need that type of basic foundation and training. And lastly, a commitment also to career and tech as that alternative, so that not everyone continues going. We need to make sure our kids have the basics, but if they want to go into a good paying career too, if you set them up with the basics and the necessary skills so that they can go into middle tech or even apprenticeship programs, that should be an avenue as well. Not to say that I'm throwing away higher ed, because higher ed's a basic foundation, but we also have to shift the focus on higher ed to make sure we meet the careers of the future and not have duplicative type programs sometimes that RIC, URI, and CCRI. And just be more sound with how we invest those dollars. And on the second part, that's where actually this morning I stood with Ted Seidel talking about some of these pension reforms that happened under our governor, because we hit the nail on the head. With the so-called reforms that she did, a lot of those dollars went out the back door to many of our Wall Street hedge fund friends, funding a lot of these high fees, high risk investments that were not necessary. Seidel supports me because I'm willing to go and engage him for a true investigation, looking at that fund, seeing if we can reduce those high fees and costs. He still thinks there's a lot out there. He's looked at already a hedge fund component, but also a real estate component. He wants to take a look at the entire fund and see if we can reduce those fees and costs. He thinks there's about $90 million that he can save. And if we can do that, restore back some of the retirees' COLAs, and maybe consider, see if there's any type of relief that can be given to many of the current employees that are still in the system too. I can't sit here and make promises that I'm going to undo the reforms, because I think that's unrealistic, but I am sympathetic to trying to give back where I can COLA on a more frequent basis.